Question number 10. What are the major components of seminal plasma? Seminal plasma term is given to the combined secretion of two glands, that is seminal vesicles and prostate gland. Now, what is the secretion or what is present in the secretion of seminal vesicles? There are some nutritive material like citrates, fructose. There are some enzymes which help in coagulation of the semen. So, these enzymes are known as coagulating enzymes. Plus, there is one more substance called prostaglandin. Prostaglandin. They help in contraction of the female reproductive tract so that the sperms can be helped to move up to the fallopian tube. Then prostate gland. Mainly prostate gland has again some nutritive material is there like citric acid, but predominantly it has bicarbonate ions. Bicarbonates. These bicarbonates help to neutralize the acidity of urine because they have to come through a same passage. It is a urinogenital duct. So, urine which has acidic pH, and acidic pH is not good for the sperm motility or their survival. So, these bicarbonates would neutralize it. Plus, it has enzymes which are going to again bring it back to the semen into a liquid form. So, they are known as decoagulating enzymes. So, the secretion of these two glands together is known as seminal plasma. Question number 11. 11th question. What are the major functions of male accessory ducts and glands? Which are the accessory ducts? So, male accessory. First let us write ducts and then we will take the glands. Accessory means helping, primary sex organs and then the secondary or accessory sex organs. So, here we have to talk only about the accessory, not the primary. So, epididymis, function of epididymis is temporary storage of sperms. After that, the next is vasa differentia, just passage of the sperm, they help in conduction of sperm. Then urinogenital duct. We can also write vasa efferentia, which pour the sperms from the testes into the epididymis. So, we can add that vasa efferentia. Those are also ducts. So, from vasa efferentia to epididymis, from epididymis to vas deferens and then through urinogenital duct. So, these are the accessory ones. Vasa efferentia function is they pour or they bring the sperm from testis to epididymis. Epididymis stores the sperm for a shorter period of time and they become functional here. Vas deferens, just a conducting tube. Urinogenital duct, a common passage for the urine and semen. So, these are the passages or ducts. Then glands, 3 seminal vesicles, prostate and cowpers. The secretions of these two we have written and the answer of 10th question. So, it is right here in front of us. They secrete nutritive substances, enzymes, and prostaglandins by seminal vesicle, whereas in case of prostate gland, bicarbonates are also there. Cowper's gland, they secrete mucus, which is required for lubrication. Twelfth question. What is oogenesis? Give a brief account of oogenesis. Oogenesis is the process of ovum or egg formation, and brief account means we have to describe the process. Same thing, follicular cells, they divide, same process, multiplication phase, growth phase and maturation phase. So, first phase is going to be multiplication phase. Multiplication is by mitotic divisions, and we get the egg mother cells or oogonia. They are diploid. Every time only one egg is going to be formed. So, this enters into growth phase. This was multiplication, simple mitotic division. And we have already talked of that this multiplication takes place in the fetal life itself. When it grows, in case of human beings, the size increases 200 times. So, it is bigger. Though in human beings there is negligible yolk content in the egg, but still it is diploid. It is known as the primary oocyte. It is diploid. Now, it undergoes meiosis 1, which is reductional division, and here we get two cells, one a tiny cell with half the number of chromosome and the other cell which retains almost the complete cytoplasm. This is known as the secondary oocyte, and this is haploid. This small haploid cell is known as the first polar body. It is also known as polocyte. Why this unequal distribution? So that maximum yolk is retained by, or maximum cytoplasm is retained by one cell, because ultimately only one egg is to be formed. If 50-50 distribution takes place, anyways this other cell will degenerate. Only one will give rise to the egg. So, why waste all that cytoplasmic content? So, all retained by one. This undergoes meiosis 2. This can also undergo, but anyways everything which is formed will degenerate. So, normally it does not undergo meiosis 2. Here again two unequal cells will be formed. This is second polar body and this is the ovum or the egg. Egg from the ovary is released at secondary oocyte stage. It will change into ovum or egg when fertilization takes place, when the sperm touches it. So, unequal distribution of yolk, reason for that, increase in size, why so much increase in size, all these things must be mentioned in this answer. 13th question is, draw a well labeled diagram of a section through ovary. So, now when we are drawing the section of the ovary, we will show all the stages, that is the cluster of follicles, then only one follicle enlarges and others surround it. This is known as primary follicle. It grows even bigger, others still surround it. The secondary follicle. Then we can also see a Graafian follicle stage where there is a cavity, all these cells here, and suspended from these cells is the secondary oocyte. It also has its cells and a cavity called antrum is formed. This is Graafian follicle. So, all stages must be drawn in this diagram. 14th question is, draw a well labeled diagram of Graafian follicle. So, 14th we are making a detailed structure of Graafian follicle. There are many layers of follicular cells here. This complete membrane is known as membrana granulosa. Outer cells are known as theca externa and the inner cells are known as theca interna cells. The secondary oocyte is suspended in this cavity by a cluster or by few cells which are here. So, it is like a knob thing which helps this structure suspend here. This is known as cumulus oophorus, and let us draw few cells here also so that we can distinguish this cumulus oophorus, and this cavity is known as antrum. This structure which is in the center is the secondary oocyte. The nucleus is slightly on one side and is bilobed, and around it there are membranes like zona pellucida and corona radiata. So, this is the structure of Graafian follicle. Now, the next question, sorry, this was 14th, yes, that is draw a well labeled diagram of Graafian follicle. Now, let us take 15th question. Question number 15th, name the functions of the following. This is 15th question. They have given 5 things and we have to give the functions of these. First is corpus luteum. Corpus luteum secretes progesterone, which is required for maintaining the thick endometrial lining and pregnancy also. So, progesterone is basically a pregnancy hormone. Initially, corpus luteum secretes it. Once the placenta is formed, placenta takes over the job and it will go on producing progesterone. The second structure is endometrium. What is endometrium? The innermost lining of the uterus. It is highly vascular and glandular. So, it is the place where implantation takes place. So, implantation takes place in endometrium. Plus, it is going to provide nourishment. It secretes some secretion with the help of the glands which it has, and that provides nourishment to the blastocyst, that is developing embryo. So, the glandular secretion which is known as uterine milk, it is called uterine milk. It provides nourishment to the developing embryo. The next structure is acrosome. Acrosome is found in the head region of the sperm. It releases sperm license. It produces sperm license. These 3 license, that is hyaluronidase, then acrosin and corona penetrating enzyme. Corona penetrating or corona digesting also enzyme. So this acrosome secretes sperm lysins. The function of these is to digest the layers. Hyaluronidase digests the hyaluronic acid which binds the cells of corona radiata. Acrosin digests the zona pellucida, and corona penetrating enzyme digests the cells of the corona radiata. The next structure is the sperm tail. Function of tail is to help in locomotion. So it provides sperm the motility. Locomotion. It helps the sperm to swim up to the egg. So locomotion is not here and there, it is to swim up to the egg. Next structure, fimbriae. Fimbriae are those finger-like structures which are found at the opening of fallopian tube in the infundibulum region. They create a whirlpool by which the egg gets sucked in. So they help in suction or collection of egg or ovum. So these 5 things and their functions. Now question number 16. 16th question is true and false. Identify true and false statement and correct each false statement. So first we need to identify whether it is correct or not. If it is correct, okay. If it is not, then we have to correct it. The first, androgens are produced by Sertoli cells. This is A. Androgens are produced by Sertoli cells. Androgens are the male sex hormones, and Sertoli cell is the structure which is found in that germinal epithelium which is nutritive. We call it nurse cells. So androgens are not secreted by Sertoli cells. Androgens are secreted by Leydig cells. So number 1, it is a false statement. And then how do we correct it? The correct one is that androgens are produced by Leydig cells. So instead of Sertoli cells, we need to change it to Leydig cells. B. Statement is spermatozoa get nutrition from Sertoli cells. We just now talked about that Sertoli cells function is to provide nourishment. So this is a true statement. C. Leydig cells are found in ovary. Leydig cells between the seminiferous tubules and the interstitial cells. So it is a false statement. To correct it, Leydig cells are found in testes. D. Leydig cells synthesize androgen. We just corrected the first one. That was, instead of Sertoli cells, we changed it to Leydig cells. So this is also true that Leydig cells synthesize androgens, that is male sex hormones. E. Oogenesis takes place in corpus luteum. Oogenesis takes place in the ovary, and corpus luteum is a structure which is formed after the egg is released from the Graafian follicle. So this statement is false. Oogenesis takes place in the ovary. So in ovary, this is the correction. Next is menstrual cycle ceases during pregnancy. Menstrual cycle takes place when the progesterone level falls very low, and that low level is not able to maintain endometrial lining, but entire period of pregnancy, first by corpus luteum and then by placenta, progesterone secretion is very high. So endometrial lining is maintained as it is. That means for this gestation period of 9 months, there is no menstrual cycle. So this is correct, that menstrual cycle ceases during pregnancy. This is a true statement. Next, presence or absence of hymen is not a reliable indicator of virginity or sexual experience. Hymen is a thin membrane which is present at the opening of vagina. We said it ruptures on its own either during first menstruation or first intercourse or due to some very serious or rigorous type of physical activities like horse riding or football playing, then it can rupture. So, it is not a clear test of virginity or sexual experience. It can get damaged even because of physical activities. So, this statement is presence or absence of hymen is not a reliable thing. It is correct, it is not a reliable thing. So, it is true because it is not necessary that it would rupture or it has ruptured due to sexual intercourse or due to some kind of physical activity. So, it can be misleading also. 17th question is, what is menstrual cycle? Which hormones regulate menstrual cycle? In this we have to draw the complete menstrual cycle. This is question number 17. In menstrual cycle we made 4 different things: hormones from pituitary, then the changes that take place in the ovaries, then hormones from the ovaries and the changes that take place in the uterus. So, our diagram will have all 4 things. Here we will write or make the hormones of pituitary, that is FSH and LH. So, here we will draw FSH and LH, then changes in ovary, that is from simple follicles to Graafian follicle changes, all those. Then here we will talk of hormones of ovary, 2 hormones, that is estrogen and progesterone, and in this changes in uterus. And do not forget to divide it into those phases. This is menstrual phase, then this is follicular phase, then here is ovulation, and then after ovulation is secretory or luteal phase. Days are also to be written, 0 to 4 days, then 4 to 14th day. So, just study that complete menstrual cycle in detail, that diagram will come here. This was our question number 17. 18th question, what is parturition? Which hormones are involved? Parturition, expulsion of fully formed fetus on completion of gestation period, that is parturition. Which hormones and how is it triggered? It is triggered by the fetus and placenta. Fetus produces a hormone or a chemical which is known as fetal ejection factor. Fetal ejection factor. It crosses placenta, goes to the mother's blood, and in mother's body it stimulates pituitary of the mother, and this secretes oxytocin. Oxytocin, which causes uterine contractions. From the placenta is released relaxin. This relaxin widens the cervix and relaxes the pubic symphysis. So, cervix is opened up, plus oxytocin causes contractions. 3 phases: pre-expulsion phase, which is called labor pain; expulsion phase, when the baby is released or coming out of the body; and post-expulsion, when the afterbirth is released, that is the placenta part. So, all hormones and their function in parturition. 19th question. 19th question is, in our society, the women are often blamed for giving birth to daughters. Can you explain why this is not correct? If you remember, in let us write down the question number first, 19th. If you remember in spermatogenesis, we said the sperms are produced from one sperm mother cell, 4 sperms are produced, and these sperms are of 2 types. X containing sperms and Y containing sperms. They are known as gynosperms and androsperms. In case of females, the sex chromosomes in females, the sex chromosomes are X and X. In males, it is X and Y. That is why one sperm gets X and the other sperm gets Y. In case of females, there is only X and X. So, whichever goes into the egg, there is always one kind of egg that is X containing. So, now the egg is always X containing. There are 2 possibilities. If X containing sperm fertilizes it, the offspring is going to be XX, that is a female. So, the child or the baby is going to be a female baby. If the same egg is same, X containing, is fertilized by a Y containing sperm, then it will give rise to an individual with XY, that means a male. So, what is coming from the mother is always X containing egg. So, what is mother giving to the egg as sex chromosome is X. What is father giving to the baby? Either X or Y. If father gives X containing sperm, it is a girl child. If father gives Y containing sperm, it is a male child. So, who is responsible? Who is deciding? It is decided by the type of the sperm. So, there are 50-50 chances. There is nothing which is different from the females. In every case, the females produce the eggs. So, the sex is decided by the type of the sperm. So, it is actually male who is deciding the sex of the progeny, not the female. So, blaming females is totally incorrect. Scientifically, it is totally incorrect because females always produce same type of eggs. Only 2 types of sperms are produced, and which sperm fertilizes it decides the sex of the baby. 20th question. How many eggs are released by a human ovary in a month? We said that menstrual cycle is completed every 28 days, and normally one egg is produced by one ovary in the cycle. So, ovaries work alternatively. 1 month right, next month left, then right, then left, and so on normally. So, one egg is produced every month. How many eggs, it is the continuation of the same question, how many eggs do you think would have been released if the mother gives birth to identical twins? This is our question number 20. So, per month 1 egg. So, 1 egg per month. This is the answer to our first part of the question. How many eggs do you think would have been released if the mother gives birth to identical twins? This is the answer to part 2. Identical twins are the ones which are formed from the same zygote. So, she produced 1 egg which was fertilized by a sperm. A zygote was formed, a diploid zygote. Then this zygote, it divided into 2 cells, and maybe these 2 cells separated. This gave rise to 1 baby, this gave rise to other baby. So, identical twins because they are monozygotic. So, how many eggs? 1 egg only because 1 zygote was formed which divided into this. So, here also it is 1 egg. Second part. Would your answer change if the twins born were fraternal? Fraternal twins are non-identical twins. So, third question, if they were fraternal twins, let us go backwards. That means they are coming from 2 separate zygotes. How are 2 separate zygotes formed? When 2 eggs are fertilized separately by, this is the egg, fertilized by the sperms. So, how many eggs would be produced if 2 zygotes are to be formed? 2 eggs. So, if the question would have been fraternal twins, then the answer would have been 2 eggs. Last question. How many eggs do you think were released by the ovary of a female dog which gave birth to 6 puppies? In these mammals, normally like dogs and cats and all, they produce a litter. Litter means a number of offsprings in one gestation period, and the uterus of these animals is a long uterus. This is 21st question. So, they normally produce, suppose this is the uterus, so they produce 1, 2, 3, 4 eggs. All eggs get fertilized and they will form the zygote. So, 4, 5, 6, whatever number of offsprings are produced will be produced. So, how many eggs do you think were released by the ovary of a female dog which gave birth to 6 puppies? The answer would be 6 eggs, because these eggs are or rather these puppies, they develop from individual separate zygotes. So, they are not twins or triplets or quadruplets, they are arising from separate zygotes. So, this completes our question answers also, which are in this NCERT. 21 questions are there. We have discussed all of those. This chapter is very, very important. Study it in a very, very serious manner in details and go through all these questions. There are certain important questions which are asked normally. One is spermatogenesis, oogenesis, menstrual cycle, structure of sperm and Graafian follicle. Everything is important, but these are more frequently asked questions. So, read it, go through it 2, 3, 4 times. I am sure it is going to be absolutely clear to you.